Okay, so Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs just destroy Trump travel history narrative. I mean, why hide it? If it was innocently business, why did we need a federal subpoena to see these? This memo, it says he traveled significantly more than reported. Significantly more. You don't accidentally forget 8 flights on a private jet. He knew. He absolutely had to know. You board a plane that many times with that specific entourage, and you know exactly what is happening around you. Look at this document. It was buried in a file, but it is a smoking gun, a federal record that absolutely shatters the entire defense we have been fed for over a decade. Let's watch this discussion, and I'll give you my take at the end.
And now I want to read an email from an assistant U.S. attorney from the Southern District of New York from January 7th, 2020. And I'm going to read the full email so no context gets lost. And if our viewers haven't seen it yet, they can understand and follow along as well. Here's what it said. For your situational awareness, wanted to let you know that the flight records we received yesterday reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously has been reported, or that we were aware, including during the period we would expect to charge in a Maxwell case. In particular, he is listed as a passenger on at least 8 flights between 1993 and 1996, including at least 4 flights on which Maxwell was also present. He is listed as having traveled with, among others, and at various times, Marla Maples, his daughter Tiffany, and his son Eric. On one flight in 1993, he and Epstein are the only 2 listed passengers. On another, the only 3 passengers are Epstein, Trump, and then 20-year-old, the names redacted there. On 2 other flights, 2 of the passengers, respectively, were women who would be possible witnesses in a Maxwell case. We've just finished reviewing the full records, more than 100 pages of very small script, and didn't want any of this to be a surprise down the road. What do you make of that email?
Well, I have to say that certainly in regards to President Trump, and we know that they had been very close for more than 10 years. We know that they socialized together. We know that they attended parties together. They were Donald Trump at one point had a modeling agency. Jeffrey Epstein was connected to a modeling agency. These men were in the presence of a lot of young women through of the various parties. Donald Trump has said over the years that he was never aware of Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking. And he said it was only until Jeffrey Epstein began taking young women from his spa at Mar-a-Lago when he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of the spa. And this was around 2004. And this is when their friendship ended. So my focus for all of these years has been, has Donald Trump ever been in the presence of Jeffrey Epstein and any of his victims? And if so, if he was aware of anything, why didn't he end his association with Jeffrey Epstein then? And more importantly, why did he not report this information to the authorities? Donald Trump at that time was a very respected individual in Palm Beach and in New York. He could have fast-tracked any type of investigation if he got on the phone with authorities in Palm Beach or in New York. So I'm particularly concerned about that memo. And the thing that concerns me is when they say he was on a flight with 2 women who could have been possible witnesses to the Maxwell case. And of course, witnesses to the Maxwell case would have been sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And we know that there were 4 women who testified against Ghislaine Maxwell at trial. Those women at the time of the sexual abuse were indeed underage. One of the women was older. So I'm concerned as to who these 2 women were that were on the plane with Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, and in what context did Donald Trump, what was he aware of? Was he aware that either of these women were in distress in any way? Were they? What was their attitude? Why was he? Why were they on the flight? Where were they going? It raises questions as to Donald Trump seeing Jeffrey Epstein with possible victims behind the scenes, away from anyone else, where he was clearly focused on what was going on in that plane. So it is very concerning as to the nature of what was happening on the plane and what did he know about these women. And afterwards, after he got off the plane, did he think that what was going on was appropriate? And if so, why didn't he, ask more questions? These are questions that I don't think the FBI can answer, but these are questions that we have to ask President Trump about.
It's nauseating. We are talking about the Southern District of New York here. We are dealing with an assistant U.S. attorney, putting it in writing, in black and white. The reality, the actual flight logs show a completely different story than the one Donald Trump has been selling us. 8 flights. 8! A hitchhiking ride back to New York is one thing, but we're talking about a pattern, a persistent, repeated presence on a vehicle that we all know was ground zero for some of the most horrific crimes imaginable. And look at the dates, 1993 to 1996. We were told, didn't he say that the relationship wasn't that deep, that they weren't that close? You fly with someone 8 times. With your family, with your children, you are far more than casual acquaintances. It's a lie. The whole I barely knew the guy routine, it's insultingly false. It's a fabrication designed to protect him from the radioactive fallout of this friendship. But here is the part that, God, it just makes your skin crawl. The passenger list. Him and Epstein are there. But look who else is on the list. The others. The email explicitly flags, that on 2 of these flights, there were women on board who were identified as possible witnesses in the Maxwell case. Let that sink in. Witnesses. In a sex trafficking case. And he's sitting right there, just feet away. I mean, are we supposed to believe he saw nothing? Are we supposed to buy the idea that he was blind to the distress, to the dynamics, to the age of these girls? It's impossible. You are in a metal tube at 30,000 feet. There is nowhere to look away. If there were victims on that plane, and the feds clearly think there were, then Donald Trump was an eyewitness to the preamble of a crime. And what did he do? Did he call the cops? Did he go to the FBI in Palm Beach? No. He stayed silent for decades. And that silence, that is the indictment. Being on the plane is bad enough, but the real crime is the complicity of silence. He had the power. He had the influence in New York. He could have ended it. He could have picked up a phone in 1993, in 1996, and maybe stopped a monster. But he didn't. He kept boarding. He kept socializing. He kept the secret. It completely unravels the hero narrative, doesn't it? The savior of the children rhetoric. It's garbage. Absolute garbage. You cannot claim to be the champion of law and order when your name is stamped on the flight manifest of the Lolita Express 8 separate times alongside the very people who were orchestrating the abuse. You just can't. And think about the risk here, the compromise. If he saw things, if he knew things, what does that mean for his vulnerability? What does that mean for national security? It's terrifying to think about what leverage exists in those gaps, in those redacted names. We need to stop pretending this is normal. We need to admit this is critical, vital information. It's current, relevant evidence of character. It's evidence of judgment. And frankly, it's evidence that the man who wants to run the country again was, at best, willfully blind to evil, and at worst, well, I don't even want to say it, but the flight logs, they don't lie. And they are screaming the truth at us right now. We cannot let these files get buried again. We need to keep the pressure on until every single redaction is lifted. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to stay on this story until we get the full truth, no matter who it exposes. I'll see you next time.